good. Let me go ahead and get the chat room open 1 second. Okay, sweet. Where is Chrome? Oh, there it is. Let me just get this window open. Weaver space. Live now. Come on, Google, don't fail me now. Just as always, just a quick thumbs up in the chat that everybody can hear me. Actually, I had a stream open on my phone, so I'm pretty sure you guys can hear me now. But just want to get this chat room open so I can see it on my computer. Okay. Sweet. And I just heard myself asking for the thumbs up on the chat. Okay. Sweet. How's everyone doing today? I hope that you're having a great day and a fun week, doing some really cool stuff. I've already released a bunch of really cool updates this week. Hopefully you got all those. I'm not really going to go over any of the updates I've done this week. A lot of them are Foundation 6 related, obviously 6.4. Some big changes there, and some really cool stuff. A lot of good performance tweaks and whatnot to your sites, and especially if you're running Foundation 6 sites. So really exciting stuff there. Man, we got lots of people in today. So just a quick show of hands. I'm just curious on how much you guys know about PHP. And I actually, really quick, before I dive into PHP, I've actually been doing PHP all day and most of the night. And I added some interesting features to Total CMS. So Total CMS 1. I know I'm working on version 2, but had some bug fixes. And while I was in it, I added a couple new features into version 1.6. So 1.6.6 will be coming out today. Let me go ahead and I'll just show you some of those features. Let me share my screen. Make sure we're good here. Okay, there we go. Let's go ahead and let's run some RapidWeaver. At some point today, it's launching. There we go. I don't need this open. Don't need that open either. Need all the resources we can get. Open my other display. Okay, so just open this up, and this is actually applicable to Foundation 6 as well, because we have some really awesome new ways of generating even more menus. Man, it keeps opening over on my other display. Let's go over here. Wow, big over here. Let me shrink this down a little bit. So, Johan, if you're on here, Johanna Beats, you guys can thank him for this. So yeah, thank Johan if you see him for this stuff that you're about to see. So, what Johan wanted was he wanted the ability to create link lists with categories, and then under the categories he wanted tags. Okay, so he wanted to be able to say, kind of use tags as almost like a subcategory, right? So let me go ahead and I'll do this categories and tags, and I'll do the same thing for the menu. Okay, let's publish that really quick. Publishing while I'm live streaming. Let's see how that goes. While I have kids on 2 different Zoom calls for school. Man. Internet connection, don't fail me now. If you notice my frame rate has gone down or something like that, chances are it's just because, I have multiple people home, multiple people on the internet, all doing crazy stuff. So, publishing complete. Well, let's open up Safari. Man, Safari is slow today too. Look at this. Okay. Wirecache just eats up my machine. It's like, give me all of your CPU. Okay. Let's go to Sandbox. There we go. Okay, so if you notice over here, this again, as most of my quick demos, this is just a test page that I wasn't trying to win any style awards for. But if we notice over here on the sidebar, I have my categories for all the posts are on the side. Okay, and underneath those are tags. Right, so pretty cool here. Yeah, where I'm displaying the tags as a sub navigation. Yeah, pretty slick. So, and obviously, all of these are, like for example, the Mandalorian category. These tags are only for posts that actually that are within that category, right? So, and it shows you all the counts as well. So, pretty cool. Again, only the tags show under a category if a post within that category has that tag. Pretty cool. And all the counts work. So that's slick. Very, very slick. And what's cool is we also have this. So this was the link, the blog links that you could like throw in a sidebar or something like that. But we also added this feature to the Foundation 6 menu stack. So here I have up at the top a top level menu for all the categories. And then as that, we have sub menus for all the tags, right? Really, really cool. Okay. Now we have a lot of other options. So if we look in here, now basically the links and the menu have the same amount of options. So here we can do just categories. We can do categories with authors as a sub menu, categories with posts as a sub menu. Here, let's go ahead and make that a little bit bigger. Right. Oops. That's not behaving how I wanted. There we go. So we have tags and then authors, categories, and posts as a submenu, and then we have authors as the main menu, or as long as with categories, posts, and tags as the submenu. And then we could just do a menu of posts as well, and we still have the history and stuff like that as well. So month and year and stuff like that. So yeah, really, really cool stuff. Yeah, I just wrapped that up like literally 20 minutes ago. So it's hot off the press. So really cool stuff. So, yeah, that's really cool. It'll be shipped today. But you guys are here to learn a little bit of PHP, right? So, let me cut back to me really quick. Okay. So, what is PHP? Oops, let me make sure you guys see me. Okay, cool. So what is PHP? PHP is so on the web there are tons of different languages that power the web. Okay, you're familiar with obviously with HTML, right? Because that is kind of what designs the content of our pages, right? It's a bunch of tags and whatnot. And then next up, and HTML is really only used on the browser, right? So the browser downloads the HTML. The browser knows how to read the HTML and display the contents. There are other languages that are interpolated in the browser as well. So CSS is another web language, and that defines the styles, okay, for our HTML. So we have HTML, and the CSS basically styles that. So we have padding, and we have a background color, and we have a border, and all that stuff, right? So that's what CSS job is. Then we also have JavaScript, right? And JavaScript is the only scripting language that will run in a browser. Okay. And with JavaScript, that allows us to kind of do dynamic things. That's how we can get like drop down menus when you hover over things, and you get some cool animations, or how we dynamically change some data from here to there, or move it from there to here, right? So JavaScript is really the scripting language within the browser. So JavaScript is the only language that is allowed to run within the browser window. Okay. So what is PHP then? Like I know you've probably seen you put some PHP code in RapidWeaver, and you publish your page, and where does that run? It does not run in the browser. Where PHP runs is on the server. Okay. So before your web page is ever sent down to the browser, your server processes PHP. Okay. And then that PHP needs to output HTML. Okay. So PHP can output HTML. That's essentially what it is. So we can have logic on the server that generates a bunch of HTML, and then it ships the HTML down to the browser. And then the browser knows how to process the HTML along with the CSS and JavaScript. Okay. Now, there are other web technologies that run on servers. Okay. PHP isn't the only one. Actually, JavaScript can run on the server now. You might have heard something called Node.js. That is not applicable to RapidWeaver users. There's also Python and Rails and Go, and there's all kinds of different language servers. Okay. But primarily for RapidWeaver, we're talking about PHP. Why? Because PHP is what is ran by pretty much every host on the planet. Okay. Unless they're a specialty host that only supply backends for all those other languages I just mentioned, PHP is the way to go. Okay. So PHP pushes most of the web. It really does. It even powers most of Facebook as well. So, PHP it's probably the oldest server web technology. I don't know if that's a fact, but I'm pretty certain it's the most widely used. And I love it. I think it's freaking awesome. It's really cool. So again, just a quick overview. There's PHP. You publish PHP to your server. The server, before it sends the file down to the browser, it looks at it. Okay, as long as it has a PHP file extension, we'll go over that. Okay, so as long as the server knows that this file has PHP because it has an extension of PHP, I'm going to take that and then I'm going to run it through my PHP parser, and that should output HTML, and that should then take the results of that and send it down to the browser. Okay. Hopefully that makes sense. If you have any questions, just please go ahead and ask them, or if you want me to go over something again, please go ahead and post them in the chat. Right now we're just gonna dive into a little bit. I'll show you quick examples of maybe things we need to get started to use PHP in RapidWeaver, and then we'll actually dive into some PHP code, and we'll teach you. I've never taught anyone PHP, so this will be kind of an interesting first thing for me. Hopefully, I'm going to try very hard not to go fast. Okay. So let me go ahead and share my screen again. Okay. I'm going to create a brand spanking new RapidWeaver project. And for kicks, we're going to add a stacks page because we love stacks. Okay. Now, luckily, what's great about RapidWeaver is that it actually has, for its preview engine, it supports PHP, right? So that's really, really cool. Okay. That, we can run PHP freely within RapidWeaver, which is awesome. So where are places we could potentially put PHP code? Well, you can simply pop in a HTML page, okay? And then I'm going to go ahead and let's just put in some PHP code. Let's zoom in here so you guys can kind of see that a little bit better. So there is some scary PHP code, right? So scary. And now what this does is, so PHP code, it always starts with this opening PHP tag. So this tells the server, hey, I'm about to start some PHP code. So everything from now on start processing as PHP code. Okay. So this simple string just goes echo and it echoes a string out, right? So it's going to echo out hello live stream. And then when we're done with our PHP code, we put in this little closing tag. It kind of looks very similar to HTML, right? I mean, I'm pretty certain that was done by design, right? So you have those opening and closing tags, just like HTML. Okay. But inside of it, we have this really cool, robust language. So let's go ahead and preview this. Now, PHP will not run inside Stack's edit mode, but if we go ahead and preview that. Oh no, what happened? Okay. I actually expected that. I did that on purpose. Okay. It didn't show up. What the heck? Right? Why isn't PHP running? Why you said it would echo the string and it didn't? Okay. So remember a few minutes ago, I actually told you that in order to use PHP in RapidWeaver, we need to make our file extensions PHP. Okay. So if we go to the inspector over here, we'll notice that my file name is HTML. And what's kind of interesting is that because PHP kind of has a HTML semi-syntax, right? It didn't run this page through the PHP parser because it just thought we were giving it raw HTML. And it didn't display on the page because HTML just hides whatever it doesn't know, hence that PHP tag. Okay. So what do we need to do in order to get this to work? Let's just go ahead and change this file extension to PHP. And I want to change the file name. Thank you very much, RapidWeaver. And voila! There we go. I changed my page to PHP, and we have this beautiful hello live stream text. Okay. So, what next? Okay. So, there is kind of like, if you know you're going to be using PHP or, a lot of stacks use PHP as well. A lot of my stacks do. Total CMS, TARDIS, Agent, SiteLock. I can go on and on and on. A lot of my stacks use PHP. And if one of my stacks uses PHP, okay, let me go ahead and just like add in her. Actually, I'm going to change this page back to HTML. Okay. Change file name. Thank you. And let's say I go ahead and let's add total CMS to this page. Okay, I'm just going to add, I'm going to add a CMS core to the page. So when I add this to the page, it probably doesn't do it while the page inspector is open, actually. Okay. Interesting. This should it's probably because I explicitly named it HTML, because I changed it. But if you hadn't manually changed this file name and you added a stack that requires PHP, it'll actually rename the page for you, or it should. Okay. Now, what I recommend, this is what I recommend. If you think that there is any chance that you're going to be using a PHP stack or maybe PHP code yourself, this is what I do. And I go into my project general settings. I think it's in general settings. No, it's advanced. Advanced settings. And what you'll notice here is you can change the default extension. What I do on all of my projects is I change this to be PHP. Okay. That way, if I ever add a new page, let's go ahead and add a new page. And if we look, this new page now has an extension of PHP. Okay. So that's what I do on all of my projects, because the reason is, there are more reasons to this than not. Let's say, for example, you started off with HTML pages and you publish them to the server, and then maybe, sometime down the road, you decide you want to use a PHP stack, or maybe, use some PHP yourself. And so you add a PHP stack to the page, and what it does is it actually changes the page name to be index.php, and you publish. And you've probably seen people talk about this on forums, and they're like, I published, I am not seeing my new stuff. Like, what the heck? I published all these changes to my page, and I'm still seeing the old page. What's going on? Okay. Well, what's going on, and I think RapidWeaver in some cases actually alerts you to this, and I have some duplicate page checkers built into like SEO Helper and whatnot that will alert you about this. But you now have an index.html and index.php file on your server, and when servers see both, they will prefer to send the HTML version. So when that happens, you're going to actually go onto your server via FTP and delete the HTML file. Okay. Now, if you had done what I suggested by just defaulting all your pages to index.php anyway, then you will never run into that situation because your pages will always be PHP. So when you publish them to the server, whether or not they have PHP code or not, they will have the PHP extension. So that's just a recommendation that I just think it makes life easier. And I tend to use a lot of PHP anyway on all of my websites. Okay. That pretty much does it for the initial RapidWeaver setup that I wanted to show. You can really put PHP code seriously anywhere. Okay. As long as that code actually outputs into the HTML. Okay. For example, let's go ahead and let's say you're using a theme and you want to change the date of this copyright. Okay. Well, this particular snippet, depending on what theme you're using, if you're using Foundation, you'd probably do this on the page anyway. Excuse me, I got something in my eye. Why is PHP better than HTML? Because we can do logic. Okay. We can do complex logic with PHP. We'll get into PHP. That's a great question, though. Thank you for that. Okay. Let's say, for example, here is a perfect example why PHP is actually better than HTML. Okay. So this footer. Okay. Let me go ahead and I'm just going to use. I'm using the Foundation 6 theme right now. I'm just going to add in RW text, which is a new feature that I shipped this week, actually. Okay. And we're going to output that footer. Okay. So let's go back over here. Now, actually, let's preview that really quick. So I'm gonna preview this, and what we'll notice is this says, copyright 2020 Joe Workman. Okay. This is just static HTML. Okay. Now let's change that so that this outputs dynamically the year, right? Because the problem with copyrights is we always forget to update the year once the year changes, right? So let's go ahead and edit this. So where this says 2020, I want to update that to use PHP. So I'm going to do PHP echo. I'm totally doing this off the top of my head. I think it's this. Okay. So right now, I just put in a little snippet. Actually, someone actually asked this on the Weaver Space community the other day on how to dynamically, update the dates, and it gave that blog post that I posted on that thread gave multiple date options, but this is just one simple one. So right now, what we're gonna do is we're gonna echo the date, the current year, right? So I added some PHP code in there. If we go back to our page, oh, that wasn't it. What's wrong with that? Echo date. Maybe it's lowercase y. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Hold on. Okay. Fun times with Joe. Let's do this really quick. So I'll show you how I did this late in a minute, but here, let's do. I just want a quick example of. Here's some. Yeah, date Y. That should totally do it. How come that didn't work? Man. Oh, did I change this back to? Oh, I changed this page back to HTML earlier. That's why my code wasn't working. Okay, so that says 20 because I changed. Okay, here we go. Sorry. Let's change that back. My original code was correct. Haha. Okay, there we go. So now, okay, obviously, I mean, so this is programmatically now inserting the date. So, yes. So right now, in 2021, this is now going to be this copyright notice is going to change from 2020 to 2021 immediately. I don't need to republish my project. I don't need to do anything because this code here is dynamically being inserted onto the page. So that is a quick, very simple answer to your question that, yeah, why is PHP better than HTML? That is probably the simplest example on how that will save you time and your brain because you're going to forget to do that. Right? Now I never need to remember to update my copyright notice because PHP will do it for me automatically. Sweet. Thanks for everyone that was posting in the that echo at date. No, that one's definitely not right. But yeah. So there we go. Oh, I changed that to title for some reason. Okay. So where can we put PHP code? Again, we could put it anywhere. So as you saw, I used it in my footer here. Now, obviously, if you're using something like Foundation, you're probably going to put this inside of some sort of tech stack or something like that. But if you're using a theme, this allows you to inject stuff there. A lot of times in the code here, you can put in PHP. A lot of times in the prefix here is where if you want to like put some PHP at the top of every file, this is a good spot to put that. You could put it in the head and the body as well, depending on what it is. But prefix is probably a great place for that. And if you only want it on one page, you go here and you can have prefix here. So you can put PHP code right in there. But also, as you saw earlier, if you just want to intermix PHP directly onto your page content, you just put it in the HTML stack and you're good to go. Okay, so there we go. Any questions about where we can actually use PHP inside RapidWeaver? Let me know. Else, we're going to dive into a cool little website that I use all the time. Okay, and even me that codes some pretty complex stuff in PHP, I go over to W3 Schools all the time. This is an amazing website, w3schools.com. And they just have beginner stuff about everything web. Okay. If you notice, if you want to learn JavaScript, jQuery, they cover a lot, right? Even like React, that's not my cup of tea. Neither is Angular. But yeah, you can just learn some vanilla JavaScript. You can go ahead. Here's some server-side stuff. They show you how SQL, which is database, PHP, ASP is if you're Windows, Node.js. So they have a lot of really cool stuff here. Okay. And we're going to dive into this Learn PHP section here really quick. And so I just thought we'd go through some of this together, okay? And figured, they've already got this great tutorial, and we can kind of go over some of these examples, okay? And so we kind of already saw this example here. So in these examples, don't worry about the doc type HTML. We're just looking at this PHP code. Okay, and you can copy and paste these snippets directly into RapidWeaver, and they will work. Okay, so here this just does echo my first PHP script, right? And actually, I've never tried to try it yourself on this. Oh, there you go, which is kind of cool. So you can actually try it yourself, type in some PHP, and it actually will echo here. Here, let's modify it. So if I say run. Boom. Pretty cool, right? So Yeah, this is a great resource. So we've already learned that if we want to echo some text to the page, this is what we do. Okay. Now, obviously, we can output HTML, right? And this is just going to output some raw text. But if we want it to be, let's say, a paragraph, okay, we can then put it inside p tags. If you really know some HTML, you can insert HTML in there. Or if we wanted it to be an H1, right, we can go ahead and change paragraph to be H1 tags and run that. And there we go. So that is now outputting H1 tags. Okay, so as you can see, PHP can output HTML. Okay, so intro. What is PHP? We kind of went over that. The latest version, PHP 7, definitely make sure that your servers are running PHP 7.2 or greater. Okay, PHP 7 is extremely fast. A lot faster than PHP 5. Like you'll see your sites probably double in performance because of just upgrading to PHP 7. So if the one thing you get out of today's live stream is please go check your server and upgrade to PHP 7. It will make a world of difference for you. Okay. And I recommend if you can do PHP 7.4 or above, that would be awesome. Total CMS 2, which I'm currently working on, will actually require 7.4. So if you just want to, if you're upgrading PHP on your server anyway, just go ahead and make sure 7.4 is there. Else, some hosts might 7.4 is pretty new. I think it was released in January or December, somewhere around there. So it's only 3 or 4 months old. But yeah, hopefully your host already supports it. All my hosts already support it. So cool. You don't need to worry about installing it. That's kind of great. So yeah, it's already, if you have a Mac, PHP is already there, as you saw, because RapidWeaver uses it. And most likely it's already on your server as well. So should be good. Just make sure you upgrade to PHP 7. The syntax. So we've kind of looked at the syntax. That's just rehashing it, right? You just intermix PHP on your page and it will just work. Okay. Remember the starting and closing tags. And inside the middle, we have our logic. Okay. You can add comments to your code, which is very important, right? So there's 2 comment formats. You can do // or hashtag. You can also do blocks of comments with a /*. I'll be honest. I use // and that's it. That's the only comment I use. So pick what your favorite comment is and just use that. Does it work within Markdown? Yes, it does. So yes, you can use PHP within a Markdown stack. Okay. It will not output Markdown though. Like you can't output Markdown with your PHP and then have it be processed, because the Markdown inside RapidWeaver is actually all done within RapidWeaver. So it's when you click publish, that Markdown is converted into HTML. So depending on what you're trying to do, you can put PHP inside Markdown and it will work. But you can't output Markdown with PHP and expect that Markdown to be processed as and displayed as HTML. Okay. Here's the other things. So, so far we've only really worked with strings. Okay. But you can actually do math and stuff like that. And let's look at variables, which is next. So, there's many different types of variables, okay, inside PHP. And a variable is a way of storing an item, right? So if you've done any sort of programming before, you can, take a piece of text or a number and assign it to a variable. And in PHP, those variables are always started with a $sign, right? So $text, here we have $x, $y, right? And those values are now stored. And then we can use those values later on, okay? So if I go ahead and try this, if we look here, if I do echo, let's change this little bit of code right down here, right? I can do echo y plus $x, right? So if I did that and we run that, we'll see that it now changed to 15.5, right? So this allows you just to, to store values in a variable, and then you can use those variables for various things. Okay. Now you can also do like concatenation. So this does addition, but if I wanted to do text and then I did a dot, that will bring two things together. So it will merge them. And let's just do $X. What this will do is it'll add the number 5 to the end of the text. So we'll have hello world ! 5. There we go. Okay. So that's kind of done with a dot. So if you want to put strings together, you can do that. There's other ways to do it now. But the old school way is just using this dot. And you have to kind of concatenate and merge various things. You could also do like, if I put $X inside double quotes, it has to be double quotes, not single quotes. And we run that. We can get, if you notice, I added a space. So here I did a space $X after the text. Okay. Or, we can also just do $TXT inside double quotes. Right. Okay. So let's go back. So there are other types of variables. Obviously, we have a string, which is text. Okay. We have numbers. We have floating point numbers. And then there's other things. Let's see what else they're going to go over here. Hopefully, they'll go over. They're going to go. I'm not going to even try to explain scope for you right now. I recommend you go through this. I'm not going to try to go through and explain variable scoping and whatnot. Yeah, not going to try that. Echo print. So we've used echo and print a few times. And this just allows us to take some text and echo it to the screen. Okay, this basically sends whatever you want down to the browser. So variables read up on the variable scoping, depending on where you use the variable. If you create like something called a function or something, those variables are scoped within that function, but else they're just globally scoped on the page. So hopefully that answers your question, Matt. Else, go ahead and go to W3 Schools and read up more on this variables thing. Okay. Cool. Data types. So data types. There are a few different. We kind of went over that. So where there's strings, and there's actually two different types of strings. If you see that here's we have hello world in double quotes and hello world in single quotes. Okay. These are two very different things. And let me show you an example of what I mean by that. They're very different when you start using variables. Okay. If we look at this example here, okay, I have echo. So I'm echoing some variables out to the page. And I am echoing $text space $X. Okay. Now let's go ahead and copy this line. Okay. And I'm going to change these double quotes to be single quotes. And what's kind of nifty is the syntax highlighting here gave me a hint that something is different going on here. I'm not going to tell you what's going on. Let's see what happens here. I'm going to run that. Well, let's go ahead and echo a BR in the middle so that they're on two different lines. What the heck? What did I do? There we go. Okay. So here we are. We have $text. Okay. And if you look at the $text $X in double quotes, and if you look, that gives us over here, we have hello world space 5. But when we put it in single quotes, you see that we actually get $text space $X. Okay. And you might expect that what that's doing, okay, is it's literal. It does not interpolate variables when you put them inside of a single quote. Okay. So very important. Now, let's say, for example, inside of my single quote, I had a single quote. So if we look here, I have a string that has single quotes, but I have an apostrophe. Well, that apostrophe is the same thing as a single quote, right? So what can we do here? And what we need to do is you need to put a little backslash in front, and that tells PHP this is a literal quote. Okay. don't try to think that it's the end of my string. So that will actually put a literal quote inside. This is true if we want to have double quotes inside of our. So over here, let's say I wanted to output double quotes. I could do literal, so / double quote, and at the end I could do / quote. Okay, this looks kind of funky, but let's see what that outputs. Right, that will output double quote hello world ! Double quote. Right at the end. So very important there. I know that catches a lot of people off guard, right? When they're beginning, because they have a lot of funky stuff going on. And that is a really important thing to know, is if you're using double quotes or single quotes, but your string actually contains one of those. And this is actually true a lot of times if you're, out putting in some text in a stack setting, okay? And you put a single quote in there and you're like, my page is broken. Well, yeah. A lot of times what you can do is you can escape that single quote sometimes, or let me know. I fixed a lot of those bugs already. And yeah. So if there are any other issues, like if you notice a page is completely broken after you typed in some text in a setting and you're like, my page is broken. Well, it could be an issue where that setting, the text from that setting was just getting plopped inside of a PHP variable, and it was kind of breaking the syntax. So there we go. Okay. I'm not going to go over it. Let's see. Numbers are pretty much, you can have a number, you can do math on numbers and all kinds of stuff. Okay. Let's dive into something a little bit more interesting, and this is where we get some cool stuff where we can do like if this then that sort of things, right? So you can do conditions, and so you can do like, if here, let's try this, right? So let's if the year, let's do if the year is 2020. Okay. Okay. So I changed this a little bit. Okay. So I'm taking the date, and date is a PHP command that outputs a date. And when you pass it the format of Y, it gives us the year. Okay. We saw that with the footer. So I'm taking that. So this command date Y equals 2020, and I'm assigning that value to T. And then what we can do is we can do this little if statement. We can say if T equaled 2020, echo have a nice day, right? So if we go ahead and there we go, have a nice day. But if I said echo 2021, okay, it's not gonna do that. Oops. Okay. Now if I go ahead and I can add an else statement in here, and okay, let's go ahead and change that to 2020. All right. So I said if T is equal to 2020, echo it's 2020, else we can echo it's not 2020, right? And there we go, because it is 2020, right? So now obviously this particular example doesn't make too much sense, right? But I see we can do a lot of comparisons of various things, right? So yeah, this is very powerful. And there are a ton of very, very useful PHP commands that do all kinds of stuff. Okay. And let's analyze this if statement a little bit so we can kind of get used to that syntax. Let's go to this page. So we do if, and then inside of parentheses is where we put our condition. Okay. So in here, this is actually pulling in the hour. So this is military time. So is it 8 o'clock, right, in the evening? Okay. So if time is less than 8 p.m., echo have a good day. Okay. So here inside the parentheses, we have the condition. And then inside, then we have these two curly braces. And inside there is where we actually put in the code for if that condition is true. Okay. And if you notice down here, I already showed you an else example where here we say, echo, have a good day, else, have a good night. Okay. And you can do even more complex stuff where you can do if this, else if this, else if that, right? So here we could say, this is saying if the time is less than 10 a.m., we can say have a good morning. Else if the time is less than 8 p.m., have a good day. Else have a good night. Okay, so this kind of gives you a conditional statement. There are a bunch of other things. There's also a switch statement that is useful. We won't go into that right now. Okay. Hopefully I'm not completely blowing you guys away here. I'm trying to go slow. But let me just, I'm gonna exit the PHP tutorial for now and show you some other resources that I use for PHP, to learn PHP, or to not necessarily learn, but to refresh my memory. Okay. I've shown this a few times on various live streams. I love this app. It's called Dash. I'm pretty sure you can download it for free. He's updated it a couple times and changed his pricing strategy a couple times. But essentially, you can go ahead and download all kinds of different docs. And actually, before there used to be like a way you can browse the docs. Can you just like browse docs now? Oh, interesting. Oh well. So I have a ton of various docs installed for different programming languages, and PHP is one of them. Okay. So if I just go ahead and we go into the PHP, okay, I could just go to the main page. A lot of times what I do is, you can go ahead and browse. And what this does, I should tell you, Dash, all it's loading is it's just going to php.net. Okay. And this is going, and you go to the documentation, and here buried all throughout this entire page is the docs, right? So, and you can search like for date. Okay. And it gives you, here's the date function. Okay. But I don't necessarily always go to php.net. What I do is I go to here and I search for PHP date, and I hit enter. And then I have the same exact documents just in this little app window. Okay. So, I love Dash. I'm also an Alfred user. Let me move my Alfred over to this display here. 1 second. Alfred, move over here. There we go. Okay. I'm a huge Alfred user, and what I do is there is a Dash extension for Alfred where I could just start typing PHP space and then the function that I want, right? So I can just do date, right? And it shows me all the various date things. And then if that's the one I want, I can click on that, right? And then it opens it directly in Dash. So like, PHP space. Here's one that I actually helped someone with yesterday. He had some code output from SiteLock, and he was trying to manipulate the data with some PHP, and he needed to. It had HTML characters in it, and he needed to use a function, and this is the function, right? So it's nice. It gives you the detailed documentation on how to use this function, and if you scroll down, you can kind of see some real live examples on how to use it, right? So you can learn a lot of PHP through the docs. Okay. There are just a ton of, there used to be a way in Dash to browse the docs. I can't believe it was a really great way just to learn things. Maybe it's in the view. They removed that feature. That's open snippet library. No. Yeah, getting started. It used to have a. Hmm. Hmm. You used to have like a little tree over on the side. Can't believe there's no way he got rid of that because it was really useful. Hmm. I see there's all kinds of integrations and whatnot, but man. Well, I don't want to waste your time me trying to figure that out, but there used to be a really cool. That just searches. What does this open? That must open the user guide. No, that's not really what I want. Oh, here he has it over here. It's in his screenshots. Man, okay. I just don't know how to turn it on. I would expect it to be under Zoom. Oh, show annotations. What's that? No, man. Hmm. Okay. Well, maybe it's. Let's see. Is it here? Disable snippets. Man. Okay. Well, there used to be a way. Somehow it would over here. There's like a little browser where you can actually browse and see all of the PHP functions, right? And all the available functions, and that's a great way to explore CSS and JavaScript and PHP and kind of see all the various functions. Even nowadays, I mean, because there's so much I don't know about a programming language. That is an amazing way of just skimming through. Oh, here. Oh, that somehow did something. Oh, that took me to something I didn't even. Hold on. Oh, if you go to okay, here we go to methods. Well, there's no way to browse that. Hmm. Okay. Um. Well, there is a way to enable a sidebar somehow. You can just kind of peruse through all the very available functions and just kind of get yourself situated with how you can do that. It's really really powerful. So yeah, that was really all I had for today. Hopefully this has been useful for you. I just notice my lights aren't on. I'm dim today. Um, let's go ahead and light me up. So let me go see if there's any questions. Let's see. Okay. If you want to do a conditional, you have to do two equal signs. Okay. And then if you want to do not equals, that is exclamation point equals. That it's really really great. It's a good resource. Is the book icon? Oh, it could be. Um, no, that book icon in the upper right was bookmarks. So it was pages that I bookmarked. Um, anyway, so hopefully this was useful for you guys. PHP really is very powerful. And it's one of my favorite languages. I love it. I do all my really total CMS wouldn't be possible without PHP, right? And a lot of other stuff. There's a lot of really cool. Actually, Agent has some really cool PHP features. There's actually like an agent if stack that kind of lets you build out an if this then that sort of layout with PHP conditions. So that's really cool. That's a very powerful stack. Check that one out if you haven't. And yeah, take care, guys. We will see you hopefully on Friday. Also, some awesome stuff going on our Weaver Space Instagram account. Please go ahead and follow that. We have some really cool videos, some awesome tips and tricks over there. So make sure you go check that out. And we're currently working on a new foundationstacks.com. So that's really exciting as well. And cool. Thank you guys. We will hopefully see you Friday at the Hangouts. Again, 1:30 p.m. Pacific. That's 1:30. That's 1 hour from right now, but on Friday. So hopefully we'll see you there. The Hangouts have been really packed lately, and I love it. A lot of new people have been joining, and thank you very much. Hopefully we'll see you there on Friday. Take care, everyone. Bye.